Hello, my name is Brandi Hofer, your host of the Color Me Happy podcast. I am so glad you're here. I appreciate your time. Thank you so much. If you want more weekly content just like this, be sure to like and subscribe to our channel. We cannot wait for you to be a part of our community here, and you can join our free community on Facebook. It is about empowering your community through your creativity, and we want you to be there. I am Brandi. I am a Canadian artist, author, mother, and educator, obviously podcaster, because I'm here chatting with you right now. We talk about on the podcast everything from scaling your business from 0 to 6 figures, motherhood, lots of women's health, very unfiltered conversations there. We have on some extremely amazing guests. I don't even know how I talked to them really, but they said yes. And we want to talk about we want to empower you. We want to talk about those things. We want to empower you to reach out to people who you never thought you'd talk to, ask for opportunities that you never thought you'd get, because we want you to see your everyday as extraordinary, just as we have. We shifted from being like this ho-hum kind of victim complaining kind of person with terrible money mindset, really bad, hiding like money mindset books under my, like waddling around pregnant, hiding my mindset book, money mindset book, being ashamed of wanting money. But the thing about that is that if you want to grow, if you want to expand, if you want the life that you live, that's one of the things you need that will help you along your way. And then you'll inspire others to do the same. It'll be a really cool journey. So come along with us, and we cannot wait. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out on Instagram at Brandi Hofer Studios anytime. I'm happy to chat. That's where I sit, and I'm so glad you're here, and I cannot wait for you to dive in. So give us a like and subscribe. I even got fireworks at the end of that. Success! This is the video I'm going to use. Hello, welcome to Color Me Happy podcast. My name is Brandi Hofer, your host. Thank you so much for being here. I'm very excited about the guest today. Jenna is back on the Color Me Happy podcast with us. She's been on here already, but it was a long time ago. But you can still tune into that episode. It's a really good one. It's a very listened to episode as well. And we talk a lot about motherhood and creating, and she's definitely had a third baby since then. And I'm sure we talked about how the third throws a wrench into everything. And I just did a reel on Instagram at Brandi Hofer Studios for Father's Day, and Seth Meyers, I think it was Seth Meyers? I don't know. He had a really funny audio, and he's like, we only like to hang out with people with 3 kids or more because they're so checked out. And it's just hilarious. And Jenna and I talked about that. They're like the noise can go off in the other room and it will never shake them. So it's just a very fun, authentic episode. Why she came on is because she has been she's been very dedicated to working in her sketchbook. So I reached out to her because we are launching our Summer Sketchbook Project, as we do every year. It has been updated. This year we added a really fun project, paint pants, because it was so wildly successful in our art academy. The students just like totally were so excited about it. And all the I remember like running into parents out in the public, and they'd be like, oh, my kids just like love these paint pants. So you can make your own paint pants. It's really fun. We share in this link in this podcast below the way to get into the sketchbook project. Make your own paint pants, get a sketchbook, do the cover, go collecting flowers. Like, there's a new task each 4 days, and it's just so much fun. There's just something so approachable about it, and it's a great way to go on vacation and have something to do because you're traveling and flying. You can take it to the lake, you can go to the park, whatever it is. It's a really nice everyday thing that you can engage with either yourself your friends or bring your kids along. So we can't wait to see you in there and see you sharing in our Color Me Happy community, which is free, and sharing what you're working on. And so dive into this podcast. We are so excited to have you here. I appreciate your time, and remember that you can reach out to me anytime at Brandi Hofer Studios on Instagram, and we can chat. Yeah. Third baby?
I think so. Yeah.
Is that right?
I don't even know if I was pregnant last time we talked.
Last time you had the podcast, you weren't pregnant, but I think we might have spoken, or I just seen you on social media pregnant. Yeah. I feel like I talked to you, but I didn't. It's so funny like that, right?
Yeah, it is. I know I'll run into people and I'll know like everything that's gone on in their lives. I'm like, I don't know what I've talked to you, but how was XYZ? Because I know a creepy amount of things.
Yeah, right. And when I wrote a book, my studio manager was like, because she listened to it first, and she was like, just so you know, because this is how I personally feel. I feel like I know you on like a next level basis now. And she's like, other people are going to feel that way. And I'm like, oh, I'm fine with that. Yeah. She's like, but just so you're aware, because it might like, just so you're ready for that when it comes. It's not like my book's like some viral success, but she's like, you will have people who really like will just feel like
personal.
Yeah, the book was very personal. So
yeah, that was pretty awesome.
Yeah, so it was good, but it's personal in an authentic way. Hopefully that supports the listener, the reader.
Yeah.
I hope. Yeah.
I think that's like why people are drawn to you.
Maybe.
Like you're authentic, and I've always felt it, and it makes it, I don't know.
Well, that's the thing. Nice. People think in order to do things, you have to either not make mistakes, and I make plenty of those every time I do everything, or like not be afraid, and I'm afraid all the time, but I just kind of like ignorance is bliss, go on and do it. Okay. And hope for the best. And when you hope for the best and you expect the best, a lot of times the best happens.
Yeah.
In my experience. Also, though, the best happens, but like with the shitty stuff mixed in. Like nothing's going to work out perfectly perfect. Just know that. But it is going to work out in some way. And if it didn't work out, it wasn't meant for you, and you learned something from it.
True. And that's the journey. If you don't do any of it, nothing will work out.
Yeah. Right? Then you're just at home being this like person, woulda, shoulda, coulda, and like you're playing the victim.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm excited. So how's like juggling the life of like, because we talked about in the last podcast. So if you're listening, listen to the first one first with Jenna, and then come back and listen to this one, because I bet you a lot has changed, because I probably was like, when you have a third, it is something else. What do you think?
Talk about that. Okay. It's a hell of a lot more than 3. 3 is a level of chaos. I love it though. It's crazy.
It is like every day is nuts. Yeah.
You just reach this level though of like, you care more about the important stuff and a lot less about what doesn't matter.
Because you don't have any control anymore.
Yeah. And my husband's deployed, and we don't have family out here. So it's like, we do what we need to do to be healthy and happy. I probably yell more than I used to, but I like, not in a bad way. Like, I'm a damn good parent, but I do yell because kids be crazy.
Well, they need boundaries. And sometimes, and no, not sometimes, all the time. It's like when you're just like kind of passively saying, I'd love it if you, or could you, and then like by the 8th time you're like, pick the effing thing up and put it over there.
Yeah,
we've talked about this a lot.
Yeah,
and it's just the way it is.
I was trying to get our lawnmower going, and I'm out there, and it's like middle of the day hot because I just planned the whole day poorly, and I'm out there. I'm like, I have to get this grass mowed, and I'm trying, I can't get it going. And my son from the top of the suite, like the play set outside, nails me in the back of the head during all of this with this plastic toy. And I was like, read the room. And I turned around, I was like the more I tried to not scream bad words, the more I just like screamed bad words. I was like,
yeah, those are the moments where you're like, okay,
I love you. Don't say those words.
Yeah.
Oh my God. But yeah.
Mommy needs a minute.
Yeah. Which you don't, no one gives you ever.
Yeah.
But no, it's good. Chuck gets home and like I think the countdown's at like 49 days. So we're good.
What?
Yeah.
That's
Halfway
insane.
through, yeah. So we stay busy. The house is sticky everywhere. I'm potty training my daughter, like getting my son out of nighttime pull-ups. Things smell like pee more than I ever want to know or admit.
That's the season. At least there's nap time.
Yeah, my youngest.
Right?
The others
Well,
naps. Like
I still, yeah, I somehow napped. But yeah, by the time your third rolls around, like I would nap with Finn and Gus, and then they would go to bed at like 6:30 or 7. It was like all routine, it was all perfect, and I like made the balancing motherhood things, and I'm like, it is just a few routine, it's good. And then Teddy came along, and then he like gave up naps so early, like at 2.5, and I was like, no, like Gus napped and Finn till they were 5.
That's amazing. That is
It was amazing.
You have schedules, like you have.
I would nap with them. I would nap with them. I'd be like, oh, I'm ready for my new nap. And then they go to bed at like 7:30, and I roll into the studio and paint my heart out. It was a nice season of life.
Yeah.
But it changes. It just changes. And that's okay. I did a reel recently with that. What's his name? Seth Meyers.
Yeah.
Who's like, I like people with 3 because like there is nothing that can like happen in the next room. They're so checked out. They're so checked out. And I was like, it is. You're just like, they're good. Like, I went away for a weekend and it was with a bunch of DIYers. So in the other room, stuff kept banging, and I kept being like, someone fell. Like that was my reaction, because it's just like constantly in this like fight or flight mode.
Well, and you have 3 boys. I have a girl in the middle, although she's feral, so it doesn't change too much. But
It's the
3
same.
boys is just, that's gotta be rowdy. They run on another level.
Yeah, it's just like, and Teddy especially like never ever ever sits. Like not even the other ones did like Paw Patrol, quiet time. Like that's why I could do routine. Teddy doesn't take a quiet time. Like it doesn't exist in his realm of. I've been to the ER so many times. Like it's just like
He's wild.
Just like, hey, we're back. Like
He's so cute.
Oh, it's so bad. And I saw this thing online. It was like, set a timer for every 5 minutes for their own safety. And I was like, I can't live my life on a 5-minute timer. I'm like, he's got to learn his own boundaries and what is danger, and when he gets himself in. And he's like, Mama, I didn't like almost drowning. I was like, I didn't like that either.
Yeah.
But maybe remember next time to say, Mom, I'm going down the water slide. Tell me about it.
Yeah.
Like, because I can't watch my kid every 30 seconds. Yes, I turn around to say something to someone or do this or pick this up. It's unrealistic to think that you can do that.
They have to learn their own limits. It's so important to let them live a little bit.
And my dad helps. So he's like, that was a good thing that happened. I was like, yeah, it really sucked. That sucked a lot. Like that was a scary parenting moment. And of course I felt terrible because I wasn't watching him for 30 seconds. Right. But I'm like, maybe he, like my dad and I talked about, he's like, he probably learned something. I was like, he probably finally did maybe learn something, like the fear of life. Like, oh, you can die if you get yourself in a pickle. Right. Or you can get hurt, or you went to the doctor. You didn't like that. I think it was a good lesson because he didn't have water in his lungs, but I checked anyways.
Yeah.
So thorough parenting. Wish it didn't happen, but now we're going on this vacation and maybe he won't enter because that is not the first time. I have had to go in after him fully clothed, threw my bag off last year at the pool. So it's like,
we can only hope that this was the
outfit.
learning lesson.
Yeah, he's just like, because the day before we were empowering him to learn how to swim. So we're like, you can swim. You are a good swimmer. And he was 3. And then he was just like, I am a good swimmer. Right? Like, just like this year, he's 4 turning 5. So he can swim, but he panicked. So anyway, yeah, that was our experience. But yes, the whole like, it is like sun up, sundown. He is there, wants to be with me, wants to sleep with me, wants to. Yeah. It's a lot. It's a lot of stuff. And you're doing it solo, basically.
Yeah, my daughter, she reminds me a lot of Petty. Everything you just said, minus the drowning thing. But I'll watch her do things and I'm like, she's gonna get so hurt. But I have to sit there and let it happen because otherwise she'll do it. Or she'll scream and fight to do it for so long. I'm like, just figure out the outcome. Like, obviously, I'm not going to sit there and watch like something horrible happen, but it's like, you got to learn your limits. That girl, she wants to learn everything. She has to learn everything the hard way. I'm like, I'm here. I'm not going to let anything horrible happen, but you're going to have to learn. And she does.
I'm kind of like that too. So I understand that method of like, you got to go through it to understand it. And that's what it looks like for children. And I feel like,
I think pays off later in life.
It does, because you think you're protecting them, but you're not. Like they've got to know.
Yeah. Either they don't know that they have limits or they're too scared to test their limits and to break through things.
Yeah.
That happy medium.
Yeah.
Like, don't hide in the house, but also don't go jumping off cliffs that you shouldn't jump off.
Really.
Let's be smart here.
So how have you worked creativity into your routine?
Well, right now with my husband deployed, that's how I've gotten back into sketchbooks. For a while I would have pieces out. I mean, I have like that piece behind me. I did manage to get that done it took weeks, and I would just come in like the kids were eating and I'd be like, okay, 5 minutes. So I run in the studio.
That's the thing. If you've got 5, 15, 20, half an hour, you just got to sneak in and like be obsessed about it. Like I'm doing that and I only got 10 minutes, but that 10 minutes, you're like, I did that today.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
And it feels good and you're that much farther. Well, sometimes I come in and I'm so rushed, I end up like that much farther behind because I totally just fuck it up. But
or you made a big mess.
Yeah, it's like, oh, why'd I do that? But overall, I feel like you just take the time, or I do. I take any time I can get. I used to work at nights, and now by the time the kids go to bed, I'm like a freaking vegetable, and I sit on the couch. I'm like, I have 1 hour, and I go to sleep because I have to start over. So sketchbooks, I've gotten back into my sketchbook because it gives me a way to just like take that chaos in my head and all these ideas I have for a new series I want to start. That's just a jumbled mess of ideas. So my sketchbook is helping me to kind of like create my outline like a writer would do. I sit down.
It's like the fundamentals, right?
Yeah.
Which can be fun. It can be freeing and it can be empowering. And like, even if you doodle a pattern that day.
Yeah.
When I doodle patterns, the patterns show up in like the collections, the other work, the whatever, the next commission. They like whatever you do in your sketchbook, like it shows up later, and that's what's so cool about it, and it doesn't take up a lot of time.
No, I do it.
Gave me a long time ago.
That's nice. Yeah, everyone's home today because it's Sunday, so
I feel that.
Yeah,
I sent them all downstairs. I was like, I don't care what happens down there. Closing the gate, locking the gate.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's been it's just that no expectations. Like I can sit down. I don't care if I mess it up. I don't care if it turns into anything. I have my morning coffee and I'm not a morning person. So I sit down and I'm like, do not talk to me, ask me for things. Just go away till mommy has her coffee.
Yeah.
I sit in my chair that no one can sit next to me in because it's too small. And I drink my coffee and I try to get like a sketch or part of a sketch or at least some like watercolor down to sketch on top of later. And it's totally helping me just kind of figure out like what direction I want to take this series. And I'm trying to learn figurative drawing. Like with your portrait class and whatnot, I feel very good about my ability to draw faces and like the planes and the highlights and the lowlights and the shadows and whatnot. Now I want to take that to the body. So right now my sketchbook's giving me an opportunity to just practice the body.
Well, and that technique translates perfectly into figurative artwork.
Yeah.
Like it's not just for portraiture, it can be for anything that you want, right?
Yeah, it can, because now that really helped me break through and see things not as like, not even really so much as like shapes, definitely not lines, but just light and dark. And now with my figurative drawing, if I just focus on light and dark and working that kind of back and forth and that pull and that push of color, the body just kind of forms into the shape.
And
Like
line sensitivity,
Yeah.
like when something's coming forward to like make those lines more bold and have the other ones fall back. Like
Yeah.
it's a really empowering technique in class because like I sent it to one lady who was doing a lot of portraits and I thought they could have been better. She was very big. And then she's like, "Oh, I know that technique." I was like, "But it's not the graphite transfer technique because graphite just won't give you that gorgeous line work that we teach. Like with the mediums that we use, like that could be a sketch in itself. Like you can stop at the sketch. It's gorgeous because you can get the finite details with that method."
Mhm.
And she's like, "I already know it." I was like, "Have you even looked at the," because I'm just like, "But did you check out the," and she was just like, kind of like, "No, I'm good." I was like, and I hate that attitude because you're like blocking, we're always learning and we're always evolving and we're always like, there's always room for more and improvement. But then I was like, okay, that's just not the lady or the partnership for me.
Yeah.
And that's okay because whatever. And then someone else comes along and they're great, like meeting you and you love the technique and you're going to use it all the time and you're growing your practice. And because she said, "Oh, I see that like people can't learn doing that." And I was like, I politely disagree because I have thousands of students
I
now.
can say that transformed my practice. And I did that. I took that course. And that was like the only method I did for so long because each time I did it, I learned more.
You got better.
Yeah, each time. And now I got to the point where it helped me really get down drawing faces. And what was that, like 2 years ago that came out, a year ago? I've spent that much time like drilling that technique with my own colors and different things. And it has allowed me to finally kind of take that into my own style. And I've actually moved away from that because it taught me so much about drawing the face and finding like my own comfort and being able to freehand faces into like, especially with this series, I think I'm going to go a little more abstract or just a little bit more, I think with the figurative, less focus on like the details of the face and it being like a portrait of somebody so that every woman can look at it and have the opportunity to see themselves.
Yeah, connect.
But it gave me.
But you have the confidence to make that decision.
Yeah, and I would never have done that. I mean, I'll have to send it to you after this call somewhere in a portfolio because I've kept everything I've ever done. And I mean, I'm self-taught. During COVID, I was like, I'm going to be an artist. Like, that's what I always wanted to do. Never panned out. And now here I am and yada, yada. So I started drawing faces because I've always wanted to be able to draw people. Like I'm not big into, I respect everyone's art, but for me as an artist, I always wanted to be able to focus on people and like that connection. And I'll have to show you the first face I drew. Like it's very cartoony, and I mean, that was my best effort, like of trying to.
Did it have yellow on it?
Maybe, probably.
Do you remember? I think you did send. I think you might have.
I maybe
You
sent it
sent
to.
it.
And
Yeah.
I couldn't figure out how to break out of that to the point where I was like, well, I just can't draw faces. And so I kind of forced myself to be more abstract with it, even though at that time I really wanted to learn to draw like a realistic face, whether it was neutral colors or not. And I just couldn't do it. Like I didn't, no matter what I did, I couldn't do it. And then your class, it taught me how to look at a face differently with those planes and those lights and those darks. And now I can do what I'm trying to like morph into, because I mean, as an artist, especially in the beginning, you're always trying to find your style. You're constantly, you know, reworking, evolving, learning, and then learning how to put that into your own, you know, put your head of what you see with that. And it's allowed me to do that. And I think that's why I'm so excited about this next series, is because it's what's kind of been in my head, I think, for years and years and years. And I didn't have the skills or the understanding of how to like use those techniques to create that. And now I can, and now I do. And the sketchbook is just helping me like really work it.
With the time you have in the season of life you're at.
Yeah.
Oh, good for
really
you.
Long explanation of
I like
why
it.
works.
That's why we're here today. So
and practice, I feel like like professionals, no one knows everything. You can constantly learn, and you can redo the same things a million times and learn it better.
I know. I'm super like, sometimes people ask me to make the same thing twice, and I'm like, I can't. Because like sometimes it's like I made that 10 years ago, or I forgot I made that, or I forgot that existed at all. Because before I put the portrait class out there, I for sure created, it had to be in over 1,000 pieces using that technique. Like it wasn't just like I made this up last year. Like I've been doing it for a decade before I decided to expand it out into the world, saying I'm burnt out from this and I feel like it will work for others. And I think there's something, I'm ready to let it go. And I think there's something more magical in that than holding on to this for myself. And it turned out, it worked out. It's still working out a lot. And then I talked to Jenna Kutcher on her podcast, which was really a crazy moment. And she was like, if you have that one thing that works, you need to just like, you need to keep doing the thing that works. And so like now I'm just like, I still have lots of other stuff that works, but like I feel very lucky that portrait class got so popular, because like I've had lots of courses and classes and they're all right and people like them, but like the portrait class is like the most well-reviewed, you know, fun thing. And even if people aren't going to use it later, they still like doing it, right? It was a tool in some way for them in life, just like you started out and you needed it at that point in your life, right? Yeah. So it's been a pretty cool journey, but like that's infinite. Like how many people can that, you don't have to be an artist to take it, you know, which is cool, but artists do love it. So it's also neat in that way.
It's just skill building. It's a technique that helps you build skills. And I feel like the face and the, like, I don't know, it seems like something that's probably complicated for a lot of people, artists or not, that everybody wants to be able to draw a face. It seems like, you know, it's really cool to be able to make something happen on that paper the way you see it in your head. And you gave that technique on how to do that for people who don't know how to do it.
Yeah. And photographers in particular, love it. Like, and I think it's because they're drawn to that face. Like they're drawn to the form too. So photographers love, like, because they're creatives, so they connect to it as well.
And they can work with their own images, because that's my problem. I'm like, I am not a photographer, so I try to get pictures to work off, and I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah, I know it is a challenge, right? But like artists can trade I'm sorry, I'm looking at both doors are open and the boys are letting like every bug in in the province into our house right now. And they all fly into my upstairs bathroom, which was super annoying. Hey, buddy, can you close the door over there? Thank you so much. Yeah, you're the best. You were going to do that? Okay. Yeah. So, what are your plans for the summer? Like your creative plans for the summer?
So I think right now I'm going to keep working in that sketchbook. My creative plans right now. So I'm going to rewind for a second. I just had my first exhibition, like my first piece exhibition.
Congratulations. I love that piece.
I love it. It was such a process, and it turned into a million things. I almost cut it up to collage one time.
I know. And I was like, no, you messaged me. I was like, don't do that.
I think I'm just going to chop it up.
No.
So, yeah. I mean, I think I worked on that thing for years.
Start a new piece. Just leave the piece, step away. Don't light it on fire. Just make a new piece. Get a new canvas.
I wanted to light it on fire a handful of times. I was like, this isn't working. So that was like this motivation. So this summer, it was just awesome. It was at the Bo Bartlett Center here in Columbus. Bo Bartlett, I'm sure you're familiar with him. He's
no.
Oh, you'll have to look up his.
I'm also the worst with names. So.
That's right. I get that. I am too. Names and faces. So I really get screwed. Bo Bartlett, he's from Columbus, Georgia, came back and got really involved with like the community and whatnot. So we had a piece there. And it gave me this like not new excitement, but it like lit it on fire for me to really make this summer a goal to create and apply to things and like not just hoard my art, not create and just be like, okay, this is gonna sit in my studio. I'm scared to show the world. So
you got to get it out there.
Oh, that's what my husband says.
Who cares where? Who cares where it is or why? Just get it out of your studio.
I know. And the
hang
feedback
it in a cafe, create your own exhibition, create your own group exhibition.
Yeah.
Like, do not wait for someone to show up at your door and be like, "Oh, hey, I love your art. Let's." It's rarely, like, never, almost never gonna happen. Every opportunity that anyone gets, or in my experience, any opportunity that I've had, I've asked for it in some way or set up the motions, like sent the email, sent the message, went and talked to a person, or I wouldn't cold like reach out, like stalk people first a little bit. And like, if you love the coffee shop, be like, like if you're obsessed with a space, odds are that like your personalities will match up with someone. Yeah. You know, if you love a gallery and you love who they represent and you're friends with some of the people that show with them, odds are it'll be a great partnership. You know, so
and every opportunity helps set up the next opportunity.
Yeah, like I always saw myself standing with Kat and Alicia in New York. And then one day it just happened. I was like, one day I'm just going to be standing there. All their cool photos were there at the art fairs, and they're all like together. I'm like, I'm going to be there at one of those.
And you were.
And it just, and I reached out to her and I didn't have the money. And then I made the money, and like, each one thing leads to the other thing. And let me tell you something about that. It was a very cool opportunity, very fun, awesome. And again, it was like a visual. I didn't sell any art there. So just because I showed in New York doesn't mean that, like, you know, like why I'm sharing this. It still sucks. That hurt my feelings for sure. But that no longer defines success for me. So the fact that I got to connect and make friends on that adventure, that's what defines success for me. That was successful out of that adventure. I would rather the fact that like I'm at Victoria J. Fry. I got to meet Kat and Alicia for the first time in real life. I got to spend time with my very good friend who I still am in touch with, Julianne and Naufel from Brazil, who runs with Twiggy Boyer Art, the Photo Trouvé membership. And like, so I would so rather have made those friendship connections than sell a piece of art for $1,000. You know what I mean? Like
100%.
So you just never know what like the gift is until you unwrap it. Right? I thought success meant selling art at an art fair in New York, but it turns out it was making friends in New York.
Yeah. And showing your art in New York, just showing it.
Yeah, that's also a very big check in the box.
Awesome. Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that I'm going to be a successful, like I'm always going to sell art from now on.
Yeah.
Like that's not realistic. So if you think that like for you as a creative, you're like you selling art, like that means you're a good artist. It doesn't, right? My gallery said like there's a very successful artist that is from the same place as me. And my gallery is like is in the same area, and they just came through and dropped off some artwork, and they were like, your art is just as good as his, like technically, because they've seen it both, but it's like his sells for $56,000 a painting Canadian and mine doesn't. Like it's just, and so you don't know what success is going to be like for you, and you just got to put yourself out there and figure it out. And so why not put your art out there? Like what's the worst that can happen?
And
why not ask for something? Someone can say no. Okay, then you find another person and ask them. Right?
This goes back to like that journey. Like you can't get anywhere without that, like getting out there, forcing it to happen, finding those opportunities, taking the no's, taking the fails, and moving forward.
Yeah, because she's like, who knows what's going to happen with your art in 10 years or 5 or 3?
Think like your art 10 years ago, like where.
Oh my gosh, I saw my thing at like a sale. Someone was reselling my artwork.
I saw you post that.
I was like, oh my gosh, it's so bad. And lots of people messaged me. They're like, how do you feel about someone like reselling your stuff? I was like, go for it. Because like, I've made hundreds since then. And it's just like so weird.
Yeah.
And it's like, great. I hope they sell it. I hope they get some money from that. And I'll go on creating. And it's just part of who you are. You don't make it for anyone else.
Right. Well, and that piece will hopefully just get loved by one more person.
Right. Yeah. It's like every piece is like a piece of you, and it's a connection to another human being.
Yeah.
And that's it.
That was, I've grown as an artist, I think like mentally so much in the past year, 2 years, because that's kind of when I really started to like go from like my little home studio to be like, I want to put myself out there. Like I want to be seen. I want like, it went from like, I want to just create.
Put the suit on and be at an exhibition. Yeah.
Yes. And
you look gorgeous, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
I was like, Jenna looks
I got my hair back. So
yeah. Yeah. That's exciting too.
It is. But I've changed so much, and I've gone from like, what'd you say? You create for yourself. Because in the beginning, it was like, I was playing in my studio, and then I wanted to get some like momentum on Instagram, and I wanted to be seen. I wanted to have art out in Columbus, Georgia, where we live. And I kind of started to try and create art that others would want to see and expect. And I wasn't happy with anything that was coming out of it. And it was kind of like, it took me a while to realize, like, I just need to create for me. Like, stop creating for what I think people want, and just create what I feel, and like put myself on this canvas. And it was when I figured that out that I really just started to grow as an artist and like find my identity as an artist and feel confident enough to like experiment and just let myself flow naturally, instead of like trying to force something, because when you force something, it's not going to work. Experience.
And if it's not fun, why are you doing it?
Yeah, and it wasn't, and it was making me discouraged, and I feel like I spent more nights just feeling like down on myself and shitty that like I wasn't getting where I wanted to go, and I wasn't like getting the attention or the attraction of my art. I wasn't selling anything, and then it finally I just kind of was like, why is that what I'm focusing on? Like it's just making everything spiral into a place that's makes me not even want to go in my studio anymore. And I just really had to turn my own perspective around, and only you can turn your own perspective around on things. And kind of had a
100%.
with myself and was like, pull yourself up, stop acting stupid, and just go back to why you love it and why you want to do it, and just follow, like, just let it happen the way it's going to happen, because that's how it's going to happen. Like, that you can't change the way it's going to play out. You can just do it true to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of just, that's kind of where I'm at right
Yeah.
now.
Why sit at worrying about the future?
Yeah. Or
The
what other
future
people
is-
like think of my art.
Well, yeah, definitely never fucking care about that.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, and of the future, because God, that's a freaking rabbit hole if you do. Like,
Oh, for sure. Like, that is 100% out of control. And you know what? And like, so when I was at the ER with Teddy, this is the first time where like I really held back in participating in a conversation, but I really also didn't like the conversation. And because I go into that, my brain goes into the rabbit hole of like, this is why I can't watch the news.
yeah, I've stopped watching.
I can't. So these two old women were like, I've got can saved for 3 months when he bombs our upgrader. And I was just like, what the fuck? I'm like, you think Putin or whatever, Poutine, I'll just call him Poutine for fun. I was like, you think he's going to come over after our personal here in 30,000 population, Lloydminster in Canada? He's coming here to, like, I mean, whatever. Yeah, he's specifically like, you know, I'm like, if he attacks the world, first of all, my brain is like, I don't want to live for an extra 3 months. You know, like, but also, and then she's like, we're bringing nuclear, and then my mind, because I do research things, and there isn't a nuclear solution that Bill Gates invented. But this is where my brain goes, and I wanted to correct them. That is actually sustainable, and there's enough uranium in Texas to run the world for 130 years. And that's what I wanted to say, because that's the educated. I looked into it because I like to solve problems brain. And so I just sat there and I was like, you're in control of this moment, and you have the ability to meet any emergency because you are smart and you are capable of doing so. But the apocalyptic emergency in the future, way beyond, and that apocalyptic emergency has existed above humanity for all of humanity.
And there's nothing you can do about it.
Right. That is so beyond. That is so beyond our control.
Yeah.
And like for you, as like, you guys are right in the thick of, like, you know, so for that to take up your energy every day, you couldn't get through it.
No.
You have to bring it down to the very present moment.
Yeah.
With your family.
Yeah.
And what can I do right now to live a very good life every day? Because that's what's important in our blip of our whatever 40, 50, 80, 100 years on this planet. What can I do right here today and have the best life with my children or the partner or friends or family, right? And
raise like kids that the world needs. That's what I tell myself. Like, the only thing I can control is like what we bring out into the world, what my kids are gonna do. I educate myself on my voting, but I don't need to watch the shit play out on real time on my TV screen every morning, because that's just a mind fuck. Like, I can't.
Oh my gosh, it is. It's
and then my energy goes towards that, and I can't control it. You can't do anything about it, and it's stuff like that for me as a creative block.
It even ruined one of my runs. I was just because one lady said she was collecting canned goods for and I was like, better collect her canned good. Like I'm like, stop thinking about that. What she said. Like, and I didn't even watch the news. Like, so like one lady's perspective on life. And I'm like, how much of that consumes them? So let's and that's why I love creatives, because creatives have the ability to problem solve and think of a beautiful, constructive way of moving forward. And they have this beautiful gift. And I think the more we work together as creatives and inspire other people to connect to their creativity, the better the world will be in that way, you know? So sorry, everyone. Sorry, listeners. Sorry, Jenna, that it took that turn. But we have the ability to create, which is the coolest thing ever. So let's focus on that, you know?
And it's such a good way to even just within your own little community, whether it's your neighborhood or your town, creating is such a good way to connect and to draw people in and to start conversation, and it's just a very pure way of
being.
Yeah. I love it. And it's
therapy.
If I'm so stressed out that
you can educate others, like you said, you can start your own communities, you can start your own groups, you can it's just a really cool thing, a way to connect to others. So and the thing you can do for yourself, like I've had lots of guests on who have talked about getting through times of grief and harder times in life. What do we turn to? We turn to creativity and music and whatever. Even in those like close to apocalyptic or World War times, what did they value most? What did Hitler hide? What did he try to get? It was art. He was an artist, actually.
Was he?
He was an artist. Yeah. Wish he would have pursued that more.
Clearly, it was therapeutic for him.
Think about it. Not that I love. Why am I talking about him anyway? But think about if he used his power for good, because he was obviously a magnetic force.
Yeah,
or he wouldn't have convinced so many people to do horrors. Think of if he used his magnetic force creatively to impact the world. What would that have looked like? So this is what we talk about. Instead of falling into victimhood or anger, what if we use our powers for those other things and impact and help others and and that comes with yourself. You got to work on yourself and sit in your best self. Love yourself and honor yourself and then live that creative life that you've built. And then you just naturally, those things happen. I'm not like saying set out to do it, but maybe see what that, or imagine or write about that person. What would that person look like? How would they act? How would they be? Because you said, I saw myself. I wanted to, look good for my exhibition. I wanted to be standing next to my painting in this nice outfit with my hair back and like all those things. Like, even when you were sitting in like the stresses of motherhood and being a single parent, a lot of the time,
Yeah.
So
and you gotta grab onto those moments too, because they're just morale boosters. You gotta feel good about what you're doing and what you're achieving, and hold on to those little moments. I think sometimes you can get too focused, sometimes even on the big picture, that you let the little moments go by that are so much a part of who you are and who you're becoming, and that journey and that process. And if you don't absorb all those moments with appreciation for yourself and how much you've done to get there, that's so much that's lost. And just like what you said was like, love yourself. Because you have to love yourself.
It starts there. It really does. Or you're not able to love anyone else properly anyway.
And it took me, 30 years. I'd say probably around my early 30s is when I really learned to love myself. And I think I did a lot of self-work. And I think having kids, they became my confidence. And I grew as a mom and my own personal identity. And I was like, well, I'm actually pretty damn cool. I like who I am. That took most of my lifetime. And I think it was something that growing up wasn't really taught. And I really tried to.
Wasn't in our generation.
Yeah. It was almost like if you love yourself, you're vain and you're self-absorbed. And so I went through so much of my life thinking I can't think about myself because I don't know,
or as a woman, self-sacrifice is the way to go. It's
and then
no.
I had no confidence because I'd never worked on building who I am in a way that gave me confidence. And then a lot of negative things can spiral out of that. And so once I, grew out of that and realized like, well, that's all fucked. And I want my kids to grow up with like loving themselves all the way through from the youngest age possible so that they can not lose those 30 years of trying to be like, what's wrong with me?
Yeah.
And being able to like embrace your weird and be like, you know what?
Yeah, because that's how I end the book. I was like, there is no other person in the world like you. Like, we're all snowflakes, like uniquely formed in this universe. And you are like, why? Like, own your moment.
Yeah. You got to hang out.
I have a tool
every day, all day. So get along.
I have a tool and a trick, and I love it. And I ask the kids, and because like, sitting in gratitude is actually a challenge. It really is. It's easier to go the other way, especially when we're tired or like something didn't go our way. So I always like when first of all, just go to bed. Get everyone to bed, do the bed, like to get sleep. But that's my greatest tool. But it's like tricking your brain into sitting in gratitude and being that kind of person, the person who attracts and is a magnetic force in a good way, is like what went well for me today, or what were my favorite things about today. It's pretty easy and to do it every day. It doesn't matter the time, the morning, the evening, whatever, like what went well this week, or write it down. And I try to do it with the kid. Yeah, bedtime. Like I did with the kids today because we were picnicking by a lake. And so it was cute, super cute. And I did it the other night, and my oldest Gus said, and it was so surprising, because the moments you think of aren't actually like significant moments in the day that you would ever think are the greatest. It surprises me all the time what actually comes to my mind when I was like, what was my favorite part of today? And Gus said his favorite part was, because it was not really a good noted moment of the day, he said, I loved getting stuck behind the train in the van with you today.
That's awesome.
Because we just were chatting and just
especially for kids,
relaxing. There was no TV, there was no nothing. Like he was just in the front seat next to me. Just we were sitting behind a train. That was his favorite moment of the day. And it is. And sometimes the moments are like, I was just scratching someone's back at bedtime and they said something sweet. And it's like, that was the best moment of my whole entire day. It's pretty cool. I really like that trick.
Yeah. Because it's a habit. I think, it's like muscle memory. Is your mind gonna just fall back to negativity, or is it gonna have the muscle memory to remember the good stuff and focus on like what is great around you, or just what you're blessed with, what you have food on your table and your lights turned on, like whatever,
Because honestly, the people who complain are exhausting.
It's so exhausting.
They're hard to be around.
Yeah, and they're not. If you can't see the good around you, then like that's what that's what you were shocked, or that's what you see, and then that's your life. Like,
you're
why do you want to live in this negative space? Because it's not good for you or anyone around you. I do that with my kids at bedtime. We go through like,
I think it's a parental duty.
Yeah.
To empower your children.
Exactly. And to have them grow up with that mindset, because that's also, I think, something that can carry them through hard times. Because if you don't know how to do that, and like growing up sucks. Growing up is freaking hard.
Yeah, so you have to learn all the things new. Yeah. And that's what I think it kind of does take till 30, no matter what, because you kind of just, you've done a lot. And in order to learn, you have to do a lot. Yeah, it took me till 30 or 33 to really be like, okay, here we go. I actually am worthy of running or whatever your blank, your whatever thing, fill it in here. you know, it's like I can run and own my own business,
Yeah.
you know, or whatever it is for you, or I can be a successful artist, or I
Mhm.
can be whatever defines success for me.
Yeah.
And the confidence, and you're like, I deserve this.
The
And
30s
I
is
think,
great.
yeah, it's like,
I'd never go back to my 20s.
yeah, yeah,
I'd take my boobs back to my 20s, but
right. I know mine are just gone now because you're
no.
probably, are you in nursing stage?
Yeah, I am.
Yeah.
So they're either really full and perky
Wait
or
till they
really
just
saggy and
deflate.
lemon.
Wait till they deflate, and you're like, okay, so no dress fits me. That's okay. I just got different. I just actually don't wear dresses anymore.
I tried to buy a push-up bra after I finished nursing my second. And like not there was like you couldn't even push anything up. It was just like skin folds. And I was like, what the fuck?
No. You got to go out one night when your partner gets home. You go out one night. I didn't nurse for like 3 hours or something. And I went out to this gala. It was like my first time out. And I found like my velvet black dress, and I put it. And that night I got asked if I got a boob job from like old high school friends because they were so big. Because they were just like full of milk and they were ready to burst.
I
It
did
was
that
the worst. By the way, I didn't love the gala. I wasn't having fun. And yeah, my boobs were soaking.
and they hurt.
And yeah, but they looked good.
Yeah, I'll send you a picture because I did that after my first, and I remember sending a picture to my family, and my mom was like, "What happens if you start leaking?" And I was like, "I'm wearing black."
Yeah,
it was like super low cut, and I had like the sides of my boobs taped up, but they were like raw. Like, oh my gosh,
they look good.
By the end of the night, though, they were like veiny and lumpy. Like,
Yeah.
it was a short-lived peak.
Yeah. But you got the photo. Yeah.
Got the photo, made it through the night.
Yeah. Now I put on that dress and it's just like, it's just hanging off. It's just like, that's motherhood. That's fine.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
I love myself more now than I did with nice boobs. So we're good.
I do too. It's so weird. It's like, you just know you're capable of anything. You're like, I did that. It's pretty cool. I better let you go.
Okay.
Because we're leaving to vacation in 2 days.
Good.
Yeah, we're going to Montreal. And so we're going to work on sketchbook. We got way off topic. Typical.
Well, I've been sketching boobs a lot.
Yeah.
I'm working on the figure, so I'm doing
We'll tie it in. Yeah, keep working in your sketchbooks. I've got the link to sketchbooks, and stay tuned because we're going to be sharing a lot of Jenna's stuff in the Color Me Happy community, and feel free to share everyone in the Color Me Happy community. The sketchbooks are fun because it's easy. You can fit it into your day. We email every 4 days, just like, this is what you can do next. It's like, go walk and collect flowers and press them in a book. Like, it's super cute. And so, and then of course you don't have to do that one and you can go to the next one or whatever. But my favorite part actually of sketchbooks is making the cover. So
so much fun with the
so good. Like, I have a lot of like just covered sketchbooks because that's my favorite part. And that's okay. But when I do work on them, it's good. I love working. You can take them on vacation. So in Montreal, that's going to be like my time. Yeah. And so it'll be awesome. Yeah.
That's why I love the watercolors. And you can get those like paper pads with like the dry watercolor. Like, it's like a pad of paper. So you just need your water and your brush. Store it in your sketchbook. Yeah. It's such a just creative flow. It unlocks you. It unlocks my brain.
Yeah. It's there for you, not the other way around.
Exactly. Your private, it's like your little diary.
Awesome. Well, thanks for being here. Where can everyone find you?
You can find me on Instagram, Jenna Deibel artist _ pretty sure that's what it is. And then my website is jennadeibel.art. So yeah, find me, and I'll post on Color Me Happy so you can follow my sketchbook too, and see where it changes and see what it turns into with my series.
Well, so good to see you, friend.
Seeing you. Enjoy your vacation.
Oh, thanks. Yeah. One more thing. Oh, I don't know. My brain. Who knows what that was? Yeah, so good to see you. And I got it. This will be on Friday.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Awesome.
hopefully put it up today and have it all ready to go.
Cool.
Because
Sounds
I was
good.
just like, oh yeah, we should do a podcast just quick.
Yeah.
Fit it in. Thanks for meeting me so last minute.
Of course. I don't have a schedule because if I have a schedule,
Run with it.
fucks it up. So
Exactly.
last minute is usually the best way to go.
You don't want to be disappointed, so
Right?
don't make one. Yeah. So good.
All right.
Okay, we'll chat soon.
Yep, sounds good.
Please know that you can always reach out at Brandi Hofer Studios on Instagram anytime, and be sure to check us out on YouTube at Brandi Hofer Studios Color Me Happy, where we are now pouring a lot of free tips and a lot of fun information and every one of our podcasts on there. We also have our book, Color Me Happy, See Your Everyday Ordinary as Extraordinary, and our Color Me Happy community on Facebook, which is free to join, where we uplift members and we do member features as well as features our members on our Color Me Happy podcast. We can't wait to hear from you. Please share everything you're working on, and feel free to post in our Color Me Happy community any of your process shots or any questions you have for the group. We're happy to answer them in there as well. And we thank you so much for your time today. We sure do appreciate it. And have the most beautiful day. Thank you so much for being here. If you're looking for some time for yourself to relax, release, and unwind, Oasis has the perfect space for you. They offer yoga and spin classes of all levels. Whether you are a beginner or advanced student, Oasis thrives on accommodating all aspects of the practice. Let their serene environment and gracious staff help you in your journey of peace, healing, and strength. Sign up online at www.oasishotyogastudio.com or by downloading the Oasis Hot Yoga Studio app. Feel like yourself. You deserve it. Thank you so much to our supporters and our community partners. We could not do this podcast and outreach and projects in our community without you. That is Red Bicycle Communications. They are so amazing. They uplift in so many ways in our community. Jill started her business and she talks about it on the podcast. So Jill Kelly, check out that first episode. She's come on a few times and empowered others along the way. So she's grown her own business and her vision, and she was even featured in the Toronto Star, I believe. Is that the right newspaper? Hopefully. It was very cool. It was a very cool business feature because she was like, I'm going to try this out in my community and we'll see if it works, and if it doesn't. And obviously it's been like probably more than a decade since, and they're doing really well, and they have founded the Women in Business Awards. So I'm very proud to be a partner with them. We have Nouveau Laser and Aesthetic Center. I love them so much. They make me feel good in my own skin. It's one of my biggest touch points and what I'm most self-conscious about. And I recently have been starting to get some of my tattoos removed that I got when I was 16 and 19. So obviously I didn't think those through, but it doesn't hurt, which was very cool and very surprising. So they are the only people locally who do tattoo removal, and of course, face treatments and a whole bunch of another like laser hair removal and an array of, you can do injections and a whole bunch of stuff. So check Nouveau out. We also have BioClean Disaster Services. They're so wonderful, and their mission is, I love their mission statements and their values. It's to uplift community through women and children. So what happened, and I remember talking to them about this when we initially partnered, is what happens when you empower females is they live
better life, and if they have children, then they raise better children, and that is the way that to empower community and growth, and I guess like challenge the poverty cycle in a way. So so I love talking to them about that, and in our initial conversations of when they became a partner, and they have helped us along the way with mural washing and a lot of different projects around the city. So I love them so much, and they do a wonderful job, because I mean, it's for usually, like if your basement got a flood for some strange reason, like that's your most vulnerable time in your life, and they're there for you to help you through and ease any situation or help you in any way, because that is like when stuff like that happens, it's so like it's so frustrating. So they support people in that journey. And then we have Oasis and Hot Yoga Spin Studio, safe space for you to rest your mind and gain more energy and come back to yourself again. So I love it there. It's always been, it's a beautiful space. They have gorgeous plants, and it'll just refresh you and revitalize you. We're so lucky to have them in our community. Thank you so much for being here, and we'll chat with you soon, my friends.